Okay, so this is a picture of the Kabbalah Tree of Life. I know very little about this. I've never studied it, and I don't want to study it because it looks like more silly stuff that they Satanists create to complicate the way people understand that they do things and how they operate. So I'm not going to try to explain any of the symbols on here, and I don't know if they have any relevancy to how they operate in terms of Western science causing their agenda. But what I want to say is what I believe the Kabbalah Tree of Life represents is Satanists complicating the way humans are existing in a multifold existence when they can safely say a person's physiology is being maintained by very small microchips, and these microchips are equating everything else to everything else. They're like causing the right chemicals and nutrients to manifest in the body. And I can't actually, I still sound like a conspiracy theorist, because then I'm lending my belief in basically microchips that make people superhuman. But I don't want to say that humans haven't been accurately saved by Western science, and in order to do this, it is a priority for Satanists to equate everything to anything else. And I wouldn't be able to explain how that process works, because I don't want to lend my belief to Western science completely. I do want to believe that it can be a savior in some situations. Western science can be a savior, but I don't believe Satanists are a savior, and I don't believe that ignoring what happens to the remains of humans under the control of a satanic society operating operating all kinds of things around the world. It's just like, I don't think that's right. And so what I want to say is, this Cabal Tree of Life just represents them over-complexifying how people could ever possibly understand how microchips are regulating, if they could regulate human physiology in a way that pretty much makes them superhuman. And when you think of a superhuman, you think of like just them being physically fit in all circumstances. That's what I'm going to say it as. Just being physically fit despite possibly enduring a great deal of emotional or psychological, physical stress, any kind of stress they can say does alter someone's life, alter their physiology, just causes them to likely spin out of control. And the Satanists, their greatest achievement is making it a priority for every person on this planet to understand their over-complexified equation for human success. Just like it, in a metaphorical way and also in a literal way. the way that they want people to understand how chemical synthesis happens in the body. And if that was to be regulated by very tiny microchips, and that is somehow maintaining someone. And if I'm not going to validate anything. I'm not going to validate the discoveries in Western science that happened after 2010, because I said that's the year things became incredibly complex in microbiology and quantum mechanics and also technology itself. All kinds of new technology. And I'm not going to say that I don't want to believe in cell phones being incredibly useful. I appreciate having a cell phone. I'm very addicted to my cell phone. But what I do want to say is real is that the way humans have likely survived terrible things like parasites and diseases, bacteria, and all kinds of other bad things in the modern world. Because I'm just going to say the modern world began in 1990 or 1991. I don't know what happened before then. I wasn't born then. But I'm just going to say that it's possible anyone in this day and age, their physiology is being maintained by very tiny microchips, and in that respect, Satanists may or may not be able to accurately control how that person absorbs chemicals that affect them in a healthy way or in an unhealthy way, and with or without their consent. As far as they're concerned, people who acknowledge that higher science of fractals and tetrahedrons and all this silliness, I don't have the right to say it's silly. I don't have any credentials, and I'm not among the circles of the richest people on earth who are supposedly creating this science and applying it through technology, food, and medicine so that, humans benefit infinitely in their health and in their mental well-being. I still believe that I shouldn't lend my attention to it because it's also me. In a way, it's like I am consenting to that happening, and that is a part of their ritual, is having people consent. And they can say I consent when I don't consent, but I'm also, as a person who is witnessing what they have done in shamanic practices, I would say that their use of shamanic practices, actual shamanic practices, invalidates their ability to say whether or not someone is consenting, even if they have learned that higher science. They have learned about fractals, tetrahedrons, microchips that are so small they fit in food, and electrical engineering and chemical synthesis and so forth. And I don't believe it's my job to lend my attention to that over-complexified explanation of how human physiology works in the modern world if they have committed themselves to shamanic practices while using that level of Western science, while using such a very complexified level of Western science. It doesn't make sense for me. as someone who has witnessed them engaging in shamanic practices. So I just want to say this is an infinitely, I mean, it's a visual guide to what they're insinuating is, and if they are insinuating that they've done things that complex, then they have. I would never doubt that this isn't something that they want their initiated people to look at and memorize and learn to understand other things happening, other subtle things happening, that helps them exploit the world in a way that they need them to. So that's all I'm going to say about it. I don't care what the Latin in the Cabal means. I don't care what any of this means. I'm not a Satanist, so I don't care. Kabbalah people are likely Satanists. They're sex freaks like anybody else. I don't want to call anyone a sex freak. I don't want to write anyone off, but I've heard they're kind of like a sex cult. I'm just going to say any cult is likely a sex cult in this day and age. So that's all I'm going to say about it.